Bonjour à tous, vous êtes bien branchés sur Rango TV, votre chaîne YouTube. Nous commencerons cette émission par la nécrologie. Vous êtes tous sans ignorer que nous sommes en deuil. Manchester en deuil, nous avons perdu une grande dame, Maman Adèle Camélia Lukande. Voilà, nous sommes en deuil et bientôt l'enterrement. Le programme des funérailles vous sera publié tout à l'heure. Repose en paix, Maman Adèle Camélia Lukande. Alors, le samedi 15 février, nous serons encore une fois de plus chez Mako, mais cette fois-là, ce sera à partir de 20h jusqu'à minuit. Ainsi donc, le programme des funérailles est établi de cette façon. Le jeudi 20 février, l'exposition au soir en l'église en mission à Ancote. Le 21, nous allons enterrer, mais le point de rencontre, ce sera donc au domicile du défunt, dont vous avez l'adresse là-dessus. Oui, pour commencer notre émission, le penseur libre était donc en visite chez All FM, une radio locale de Manchester. Dans un moment de vérité, vous allez suivre les penseurs libres de Manchester en causerie avec les amis africains.
Well, since the death of Patrice Lumumba, of course, we'll call it from the independence, Congo has never had, have never been stable. And these are the consequences of Congo, first of all, being the West type of colonial system by the Belgian. Yeah, so it's a very long story that we are not going through. Yeah, and from there, and you know, in the 60s, Patrice Lumumba got killed. And we started the rebel movement. Then Mobutu came to power, who ruled for 32 years of the West dictatorship again.
And changed the name to Zaire.
Yes, 73, changing the name of the country from Congo to Zaire. So you just figure out what could be a country which had the West form of colonization going to the West form of dictatorship. So it's from bad to west, and from there now, because it was difficult to get Mobutu out of power when the Western power, they wanted to get rid of him. Why did they want to get rid of Mobutu? Because it appeared that they didn't need him. He was a good actor for the Cold War in Africa. So he was the hitman of the Western power in the African front of the Cold War. So soon as the Western power claimed to win the Cold War in 1989 or 1990, according to different people, so they needed new actors. But to get rid of him, it was difficult because he's been already there for 32 years. He was controlling militaries, or he was controlling everything. So they had to bring this Rwanda and the Uganda coalition, with all the pretensions that were there. So remember again, this started in 1996, but 2 years earlier than that, I mean, in 1994, there was this genocide in Rwanda. And then people fled from Rwanda to the Congo, almost the whole country. That was a ethnic conflict. So with this ethnic conflict in Rwanda, they were living like cat and mouse. So if one is there, the other one should be outside of the country. So all the Hutus, the big number of Hutus, they went to the Congo. Then, and there was a French operation called, there was an operation by the United Nations, but supervised by the France. And it was called the Turquoise Operation. So it was through this Turquoise Operation that the Western power, the decision makers of the United Nations, asked Congo to open its border for the fleeing refugees.
So are you suggesting now that there were no Rwandans living in the Congo before the genocide?
No, there were Rwandans.
So you have Rwandan Congolese?
Rwanda Congolese, I can say Rwanda Congolese, yes.
You have them there already?
If we go by law, because they were born there, and
of course,
to some extent, there was a law which came into existence in 1973, which gave them the automatic citizenship. And remember again, from the independence, there were so many movement across the borders. So Rwanda again had.
So you share the border with Rwanda. What border is that? Is that
Kivu? Yeah, in eastern part of Congo, which is the province, Greater Kivu. Yeah. So that's where we share the borders with both Rwanda and Burundi and Uganda. Okay. So the border with Rwanda is on the side of Goma and the Bukavu and the Uvira. So 3 borders. Okay. Yes.
Okay, Jeff, I have any...
Yeah, that's very useful historical background. Yeah, absolutely. The problem is, why? What is going on apart from like any other country, like any other African country? You've got these divisions, communities that have been split apart because of the haphazard nature by which the colonial powers separated communities. So no wonder that you get in one side in Rwanda, Rwandese, and at the same time you find Rwandans inside DRC. But what went wrong? Because it's only very recently, even the days of Mobutu, the early days, and when we have all these problems relating to the independence of Congo, we never had problems in Eastern Congo. So what went wrong in Eastern Congo?
Good. Before I touch to that point, I would like to highlight something. And this is about this quote, which says that the first casualty of any war is the truth. Then
that's true.
I'm trying to highlight something very specific and very important. There are 2 people who have tried to explain this thing, and they've misled the opinion. And these 2 people are the former president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, who tried to explain this situation, but it was totally misleading. I respect Thabo Mbeki. He was a good president. And the second, who for me is a really disgrace, is a very good intellectual that I respect. But for some reason, you know, with people, you could become an intellectual mercenary. This is the PLO, Patrick Lumumba of Kenya, Professor Patrick Lumumba. Okay, yeah. And in a recent interview, which is on YouTube, he tried to explain his view of what is really going on, and it was totally misleading. So let's go back to the point.
I think, before we go to this point, I think it was only expressing an opinion. It wasn't saying the truth. It was saying what he believed to be the truth, and that might not be the truth.
Yeah, the thing is, everyone could not take it the way you take it, to say it's opinion. Some people, they can say that based on his intellectual capacity, his word could have the power of gospel. And they'll say, yes, amen, because Patrick Lumumba has said it. And so it's not everyone who can take it that way. That's why I'm trying to really highlight it. I'm not sure if you're allowing me to go back to it.
What you are saying is very important, because we are looking at the deep causes and what really the genesis of the problem over there. And I heard both Mbeki, and I heard Lumumba, the professor.
Yes.
Also, I heard, and the main hypothesis or the main premises that they built their argument on is that these communities are split, but Congo and the ruling elites of the Congo are not accepting the fact that these guys, this community, I think it's the are not accepted as Congolese, and this is and it wasn't their fault, because when the Berlin, and you remember this, when Berlin 1885 they split Africa. They just followed the geography They went all through these big lakes and divided these two legs into two, and by doing this, they ended up splitting communities. But communities who are left, who are Rwandese, well, part of the old Rwanda's kingdom ended up in Congo, and these are not accepted, are being marginalized, and that is why they are rebelling against the central Congolese authority. And this is the two guys seem to be...
yeah, but what he's saying is that might not be the fact on the ground. That's the way they see it.
Yeah.
So I'm going back to you now. How do you see it?
Well, the point I would like...
First of all, you want to correct, maybe when you said the Rwandese Congolese feel that they are not accepted in the Congo. Is that correct?
That's a fake news, and it's got some facts that I can bring forward. As we are talking, Congo has got more than 443 tribes.
God.
With
I thought Nigeria
with the dialects for every of those tribes.
Right, yeah.
So, how can 473 goes against a tiny minority? That's not true. Number two, if we come back to this question of colonial boundary, as far as Congo is concerned, the simple fact that can explain to anybody who wants to listen that that's not the fact with the Congo is, remember, Africa was divided like a cake in the Berlin Conference. And for the Berlin Conference to take place in Germany, it means that Chancellor Bismarck was very strong to convene that conference in his country. And by the time of the Berlin Conference, Rwanda was already under the dominion of the
Belgium?
the Germans.
The Germans.
Because Germans were controlling Togo, they were controlling Tanzania, they were controlling Burundi and Rwanda, and probably, I think, Namibia or whatever there. But how come and just a micro-state, Belgium, could grab the Rwanda territory, which was under the German? So Bismarck wouldn't accept even an inch of the territory that he was controlling to go to the micro-state Belgium. So for whoever speaks about the boundaries, which were badly, with a part of the community going to the other side of the border, the only way to refute this is to say Bismarck, with the superpower superpower country or empire that he was leading, he wouldn't accept it. So, and again, there's this point where the Rwandese, the people of Rwandese heritage came to the Congo. At a certain level, after they've divided the countries, so they came to realize that Rwanda was overpopulated. By that overpopulation, they negotiated between the Belgians and the German to say that, can we get some of the people to the Congo? That's how we end up having some people of Rwandan ethnicity. And again, those Rwandan ethnicity, they were both mixed, Hutus and Tutsis.
Correct.
So how can people just discriminate one group? Because in general, they say they are being discriminated because they are of Rwandese descent. Yeah. And again, it happened a lot of time until probably 1927. We had this migration of Burundian and Rwandese. And again, how come they've never discriminated from the Tutsis from Burundi, who came in the same way as them and only of the Rwandan? In conclusion, which we were going to reach, the Rwandan government, which is actually today, has made a deliberate choice to be the hitman of the Western superpower into the looting of Africa.
Okay, we'll come to that later. You know, and we'll just take a music break now.
Okay.
To compose ourselves, you know, because we want to go into the exploitation of resources from the Democratic Republic.
Yeah, but this is a very significant point and a very important argument to hear, because it's countering all the argument that we are hearing about the genesis of the problem in Congo. So I respect what you say, and it gives us a chance to look at it differently. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Here we, man with van, Alberto Mavungo, Manchester. Contact telephone number is 07886 219117, 07405 822321. Grass cuts, house paints, rubbish removal. Contact Alberto. Pour vos déménagements, contactez Alberto Mavungo.
In 1994, let's put it this way. If the youngest of those who committed genocide and fled to the Congo, if he was 30 years in 1994, today is 30 years after the genocide, 32 years after the genocide, it means he is 62 years old. That's the youngest. And if the oldest of them, was, let's say, 50 years old, those leaders, today their grandpas
are dead.
So how would you figure out that somebody who is 62 years and somebody who is 82 years old, and they've never had the training, military training, for them to sort of organize and come back to attack Rwanda? So for me, this is an old banknote which cannot have a purchase power. This argument. Again, to conclude with this one, if just this week on a certain channel, TV channel in South Africa, they've invited the guy who was the best friend of Paul Kagame. He was the chief of staff of Paul Kagame by the name of Kayumba Nyamwasa.
Paul Kagame being the president of Rwanda.
Yes, they started rebellion together until when they got power. The one who
he was invited and came to lead the army in Kinshasa.
No.
Is that the one?
Not that.
Because he sent, Kagame sent a friend of his, and Congo used his friend.
Not Congo used his friend. When they invaded Congo in 1996 in what they called the War of Liberation of Congo.
That is Kabila's.
They imposed to the Congolese a chief of staff who is actually, again, so in the history of military, it's only one person who has achieved that one to become a chief of staff of 3 countries. Even McCarthy, when the United States occupied Japan and Germany. So it means this chief of staff of Rwanda, James Kabarebe, used to be a chief of staff in Uganda.
So,
and when they went with their rebellion in in Rwanda, he became the first chief of staff of Rwanda. And when they occupied Congo, and he was calling himself James Kabarebe. His name is James Kabarebe. He's actually in the Rwandan High Command. When they got to the Congo, he made his name short from Kabarebe to Kabare, because there's a village called Kabare in the Congo. So they say he's originally from that village.
Now he was at later stage back to Rwanda and was a minister, actually.
No, the one I'm talking about is the one who was about to be assassinated in South Africa by the Rwanda.
Let's not bog them by one person.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. The question is in 2 parts.
Yeah.
It said the
Hutu militias.
The Hutu. Is it?
Yeah.
Tutsis, the Tutsi were malign in Goma. I think that's
During we
first part of his question.
Yeah, part of this question was like the Hutu militia who committed the genocide in 1994 fled to the Congo, and this is giving Paul Kagame of Rwanda the excuse of going to hunt them down in the Congo. That's what I'm saying. I've explained about this figure of ages from 1994. So let's go back again to the other point. I was saying Kayumba Nyamwasa, who is the former chief of staff of Rwanda, just this week he's been invited to a channel, TV channel in South Africa. He explained again, and he said, when we crossed to the Congo between 1996 and 2001, we got all those who committed the genocide in Rwanda who fled to the Congo. We brought them back to Rwanda under the mandate of the United Nations. And he said, I'm quoting him, while he was the chief of staff, he is the one who integrated them back in the armed forces of Rwanda. But as a commander or a chief of staff of Rwanda, he knows that before him splitted with Kagame, while he was still working, they were using them now to send them to the Congo to portray as if they are Hutus there. So, this is a fact from somebody who's been a chief of staff of Rwanda. And he said this business of talking about the Hutu militia ended up in 2002.
Yeah, because I had also another, view that actually most of them ran into the thick forest towards the Central African Republic, and they are no longer present in Eastern Congo. I heard that also. Anyway, thank you very much for that. What I would like Raphael a Congolese man also here, an activist in the community. I would like to hear from him just a brief, view on how all this happening in Eastern Congo, to what extent it threatens Congo and the integrity and the welfare of the Congolese people, to what extent that danger is.
I just wanted to add something on the question you just asked Yannick here.
Absolutely.
Is just an excuse from President Kagame to say that we are going to follow the Hutus people in Congo. But there is, in Congo, some Hutus that have been given nationality. They've got the right citizenship. They got citizenship from Mobutu. At the time of Mobutu, he gave them the citizenship, so they became Congolese. But it was wrong that Mobutu did something like that, because we can't give citizenship to people, group of people. We can't say today, oh, all of us, 4 or 5 people, we became British. No, it's individual. You have to go and, to the town hall. And then that excuse from Kagame is just because in their mind they want to go in Congo just to get what they're looking for. What they're looking for is just mineral things. That's all.
Okay, is that the?
That's what's causing the war.
Motivation for Rwanda.
Yes.
To M23. In fact, before
M23,
I want either of you to give us the origin of M23.
Before that, the question is not just finished. Just give us a little brief on how.
Yes. So when that's taking that excuse to go and find people, no, they've got another objective there. So then we come to M23 because they are using people from Congo as an excuse that is not Rwandan people are killing in Congo, is themselves Congolese are fighting. But we've got proof that them people from Rwanda, the Rwandan people, are in Congo. The army in Congo. There also a problem with the authorities in Congo. They signed they did some deals with Rwanda. So them deals are killing people. They don't put that in public. They say things that we don't have any deal, but them deals are coming out.
So politicians have exploited the situation opportunistically.
Yes.
I
That's
understand
what is causing trouble in Congo.
Politicians
so they're using Congolese.
But then, why is Rwanda? I mean, they denied it.
What is Rwanda?
Well, no, why is Rwanda back in M23? They've denied it severally. Is Rwanda behind M23? The militia group?
How can they deny it? We got proof that they are there. We've got some people from Rwanda. We've got them in Congo. There are deals that say that people, Rwanda can stay in Congo, in Goma, in that region, in that province. They can stay there. There are deals, he says.
Guys, are you happy to give us like more after 4 o'clock now, the time for the news and the ads? Are you happy to stay a little bit longer? Because this is very, very interesting.
Very positive.
We've only been touching on these difficult issues. So are you happy to do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. See why,
I'm going to open the Pandora box today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Il est à 50 jours de la fin de son mandat et il va en Afrique. C'est le premier président américain à y aller depuis Obama en 2015, je crois. Il va en Angola pour favoriser, développer, financer, mettre la dernière main à ce projet de chemin de fer qui va du port de Lobito en Angola jusqu'à Kolwezi de la République démocratique du Congo et qui est en fait le principal endroit où vous trouvez le plus de minerais absolument cruciaux pour le fonctionnement de l'économie mondiale aujourd'hui. C'est-à-dire, vous trouvez à la fois tous les matériaux qu'il vous faut pour l'économie numérique à travers les matières premières des composants électroniques, mais aussi tous les minerais nécessaires pour l'économie verte, c'est-à-dire essentiellement le lithium pour la fabrication des batteries électriques. Et tout ça, ça se trouve concentré dans cette région qu'on appelait le Katanga avant, mais qui est beaucoup plus vaste que ça.
Na valise. Ba o bazo beta musique lelo ba net biloko ba kotsa na valise.